Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. Sorry, it's been a while, been busy, but this is going to be a really good topic. I think it's going to be useful and helpful for a lot of people out there because there's a lot of long distance relationships. There's a lot of long distance relationships because of COVID. But I'm not going to go there today specifically about COVID because COVID's different for every place and every state and every city and every province and every country. So it's very difficult to navigate that unless someone's specifically sending in their story and telling me what went down. If you like this video, throw me a like. If you don't like it, that's just fine. I'd rather you have an opinion and not like it than not care. If you like this channel, you like my live streams, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, and you should be updated every time I drop one. I will be dropping a live stream every day this week. I'm dedicated and open to doing that. And also, I will have a guest tomorrow on the live stream. Yes, I will have a guest on the live stream tomorrow, so you might want to mark that on your calendar. I do have an Instagram, which is Coach Mac McCarthy, if you want to join that. Otherwise, let's get into it. How do you stay in an LDR? First of all, I would measure three things, which I mentioned a lot. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your trust? Your trust needs to be a 9 or a 10 in an LDR, period. If you're at a low level, below 5, don't even try. Your connection, your chemistry on a scale of 1 to 10, again, should be a 9 or 10 because that's all you're going to be doing is talking most of the time. So if you're on a 9 or 10, that'll carry the weight for most of the times that you can't see each other. What is your intimacy or attraction to that individual so that you won't stray? Again, should be a 9 or 10. LDRs are not ideal. Human beings did not evolve to be in LDRs. I don't believe cavemen or Neanderthals said, hey, I'll be back in 2 months, 3 months. Please stay, take care of the cave, and make sure there's a fire ready for me in 2 or 3 months. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to be back, but just be ready for me, keep my bed warm, and we'll continue to procreate and mate and whatnot. I don't think that was part of the case. I don't think this is how humans evolved. That being said, in the 21st century, we have long-distance relationships. They can work. They take sacrifice. Here's the crazy part. From both sides. So a lot of times people go, oh, yeah, I'm willing to sacrifice. Is your partner? And here's the other part. Everything in your life, everything that you have going is a moment to moment to moment basis. And there's been no other time in the world than the 21st century, in the year 2020, that people change their minds, change who they are, change what they like. And that's a lot. That's because we have the internet. We have so much information that people will change who they are and what they want more often or in a moment. And so that would affect long distance relationships. Now, that being said, I'm going to specifically get into leaving for college. What's up, Dayon? Dayon. I apologize for that. I did get your email and I will share that eventually. Congratulations on working at UPS. That's a great company. I know some people that have worked there before, and it is not going out of business anytime soon. That's actually a career job for some people, and you could get a union post there. So good for you, man. I'm really happy for you. I know you're making more money than last time we talked. Okay, so we'll be able to link up again. I'll send you a response to your email. Thanks for checking in, bud. So leaving for college, but I want to keep my girlfriend long distance. This is a specific topic. And so what do I mean by that? If you know my channel and you know how I operate, I want your story. I want your story, and I want what you think went down or believe went down, how it went down, and what your feelings are about that, so I can give you a tailored response. So in this specific case, I've had this multiple times where someone's leaving for college. I mean, it's part of a movie theme a lot of times. So you got two people. Sometimes one person's going to college and one person's staying home. Sometimes people are going to opposite colleges. I've had individuals that finished college and one got a job in Boston and one got a job in Chicago. And the list goes on. But let's focus today, leaving for college, but I want to keep my girlfriend long distance. So this specific case, this individual was high school sweethearts. They were together for 3-4 plus years. They loved each other. They had a great relationship. And now they've come to this crossroads where they're in college. They're in their first year. When they come back home, they live about 15, 20 minutes apart. And so it's rose petals and wine glasses during that time. But recently there's been some turbulence. This individual's girlfriend is not happy with a couple different things. But But the elephant in the room is the distance. So he's going back to college, she's going back to college, and they're going to be, I think, 5 to 8 hours away. Let's just say something like that. So they're not going to be 15 minutes away. Bottom line, okay, there's a few things to unpack here. Bottom line is, first of all, and I've mentioned this before, and some people don't like it because they're not ready to hear it, because they're in a moment right now. They're in the present moment, and they're like, I love this person. I love them so much. The reality is, in 2020, your first relationship, even if that's a 4 or 5 year relationship, probably is not going to be your last. It's just the way people operate now. They change their identities, they change their values, they change their morals. And there's this little thing called curiosity. And so when someone has their first partner and then they go away to college and they start going out to parties or go out, meet new people. I mean, not everyone parties in college, but they have a new group of friends. Their former partner is no longer there. You get curious and you think to yourself, if I was single, wouldn't it be nice if I could actually ask this girl for her number, go out with her, and feel guilt-free? So, this comes up again and again in college, university. Here's the thing about it. Everyone's about your age. Everyone's following the same structure or plan, which is, go to school, do this, this, and this, get a grade, get a degree. There's a lot of common ground, not let alone going to the same school. And so it's a hotbed to meet someone new. And so when you're in a long distance relationship and you are in university or college, there is a good chance, I'm not going to say how much, 60, 70, 80%, one of you will meet someone else, or in a lot of cases, I'll be upfront and frank. A lot of cases, someone will just cheat and keep it going. Okay. This also has to do with someone in their early 20s tends to be a little bit more promiscuous, has a higher sexual appetite. Am I crazy to say that? And so the other part of this is, if you're going to meet once a month or once every 3 weeks, I think that's a pretty good thing to do. If you could do that once a month, once every 6 weeks. And a lot of people are, we talk every day. We talk every day on the phone. Yeah, especially with texting now. So what happens with texting, which is the easiest way to contact people regularly, is you'll text John and John won't text back Sally within 2 hours because John's got diarrhea, because John's got a doctor's appointment, because John's in the middle of a test. And Sally's like, I'm having a really bad day and I don't understand why John didn't text me back. He always texts me back. This is the problem with long distance. And then you get in a fight because someone wasn't timely, this, that, and the other. And so can it work? Yeah, sure, it can work. Is it ideal? Ideal? Hell no, it's the opposite ideal. You need a finish line. Eventually next year, you're going to come to my college, or next year I'm going to go to your college. The list goes on. There has to be something in place, some kind of structure. And let me rewind for a minute. The reason why people go to college, because there's this big faction of people now that are like, you don't need school. College is a waste of time. It's too expensive. Okay, there's arguments to be made there. But the reason people go to college and university, they don't even know this. And I didn't even know this myself when I went. And it took me, I don't think I finally graduated with my bachelor's degree until I was 25. But it's an achievement. I was proud I did it. I was happy I did it. I learned a lot. I learned how to think differently. Okay. Now, you go to school. Now think about this for a minute. Some people go to school for their parents. Okay. That might be one of the worst things to do. Some people go to school because they're gonna make more money at their jobs. Okay. You're going to school, university. They give you a plan. Think about that for a minute. They go, do this, this, and this. We'll give you a grade and we'll judge you. Do this, this, and this. We'll give you a diploma after 4 years, which actually holds some weight in the work world. And it's a structured plan. Think about that for a minute. If you went to college, like, for example, they have these things online, like, and I've signed up for it. I've paid a lot of money for it. I haven't used it yet. And it's extraordinary what it's offering. It's called Masterclass. I'm not getting anything for mentioning this or anything. And it has all these classes by individuals that know how to write or know how to do a sport, and they're sharing techniques and teaching you how to do it. but there's no structure to it. You can watch it anytime. You don't have any, I don't think there's really any homework. Well, I take that back. There is some homework, but there's no structure to it. College, pay me this money, right? Master classes. They're great. I haven't used it the way I thought I would use it because I could do it later. I could do it later. What does college do? 9 a.m. we have class. Even if it's online, 9 a.m. we have class. You paid me already. You're going to have to do this, this, and this to get a grade, to get credit. It's structure. It's certainty. Does that make sense? So you go, if I do this, this, and this, I can get an A or a B. If I do this, this, and this over 4 years, I can get a degree, which is something. So there's certainty. When you get in a long distance relationship and someone goes, yeah, we're just going to make it work and we'll see what happens and I'll try to see you once a month. That's uncertainty. Uncertainty really breeds anxiety in a relationship, which breeds jumping to conclusions, which breeds overcompensation, which breeds mistrust or a sabotage of the relationship. Are you with me? So that's what happens. When you are in a good relationship, correct me if I'm wrong, and your partner lives within an hour away and you see each other regularly 2 or 3 times a week, there's a routine developed, right? With certainty. It's like, oh, okay, John's going to see Sally every Friday and Saturday night because they live an hour away. They don't want to live together. Okay. Or when you live together, there's really a lot of routines and certainty. John gets off of work at 5. Usually on Saturday, we do a barbecue. We're always in contact with each other. There's certainty involved. The long distance relationship lacks this certainty. And then in the process, if someone is saying like, I don't know when I'll see you again, the relationship's going to end at some point because the person on the other end is going, I do want a present partner. I do want intimacy. That's the lion in the room. When someone goes, oh, like we're so good together, so great together. What about the lack of intimacy? I mean, at what point are you long distance friends, right? You can send photos. You can do all that stuff. It's not the same, right? So when you are going away to college, if you want to keep in contact, this is what I would recommend. And this is, let me get this exactly from, bear with me for a moment here. What I want to do is I want to take, well, that's not going to work. The exact question. Basically what this individual is asking me, I'm leaving away to go to college. I want to keep in contact with this woman. I don't want to let the relationship go. We're strong. We're still attracted to each other. We still have this connection. I still love her, but we are broken up. How do I stay in contact and keep the relationship at a simmer or a way that we can revisit it in the future? The answer is there's no easy answer to that. Okay. So like there's no playbook for that. There's so many different things that could go wrong or could go right. There's so much uncertainty involved. Now, this is what I would say. And this might not taste good to a lot of individuals because it's not easy. If you're with someone 3 or 4 years, it's your high school sweetheart. You love them. You've had this pretty good relationship. You're highly attracted to them, whatnot. You have a lot of trust there, whatever. You go away to college and you think to yourself, God, none of these women are like my girlfriend, this, that, and the other. That will wear off. That will wear off eventually because here's the thing about long distance. If you do decide to break up or to cut off contact, it is easier than if you live in the same city or town that you were together in. Because the new environment that you're in is going to breed new paths. You're going to go to new places to hang out. You're going to meet new friends. You're going to find new things you like. That's part of going away to college, actually, and growing up and not being mommy or daddy's little baby anymore. Okay? So you going away to school is your focus and purpose. You're putting money up and here's the thing about college. Okay. And like I said, if you didn't go to college, no worries, no fucking worry. I don't judge. So I've had friends before. Because you graduated college, you're this, and this. No, not really. Am I proud of it? Fuck yeah, I am. I mean, it took a lot of work and I stuck with it and I got it done. So it's an achievement above all else and all other things in your life. It's an achievement that you'll always be proud of. You might not use it, but you're damn happy that you finished it, what you started. So when you go into college and you're in a relationship and you're like, oh, should I move back in lieu of college? No. You know, this other individual is playing a sport. So I'm going to get into that a little bit. If you play football, basketball, baseball, and you get to play for your college, that's a fucking privilege. Okay? Because the interesting thing about sports, I've talked about this before. I got cut from my high school basketball team freshman year. My 8th grade year of playing basketball was fucking epic. We played something like 55 games. My coach was just a fucking extremely extraordinary person that went out of his way to have us experience this great year. And we were a public school, and I just had a coach that just really liked the team. We went to many tournaments, we raised money, we got new jerseys. It was great. It was fucking outstanding. Right? What I'm sharing with you, that part of my life, 8th grade is nothing, right? People think like, oh, 8th grade, that's what the feelings and the camaraderie of being on a good basketball team with a good coach, with a good group of friends. I'll never forget that. It's got to be one of the biggest pluses in my life. Just because I'm not a pro athlete or something, when we won games or I hit a game tying shot when I've talked about before, it's the same feeling as if Michael Jordan wins the fucking finals. Think about that for a minute. Or you're on a pro team. It's the same feeling. If someone gets all fucking amped up, right, in a game. The ability to play on a college team, anyone, D1, D2, D3. I mean, I remember when I was in college, we had a neighbor, and he was already out of college. A really cool dude. He's in his late 20s. He's a fireman now. He played D1 football at San Jose State. Now, San Jose State, you wouldn't even know it was D1. I don't think they're extremely good at football, but D1's D1. I mean, it means you're playing top competition, right? He walked on and fucking started his junior and senior year. That's impressive. A friend of mine was like, oh, yeah, you didn't even, you didn't have a scholarship, was giving him shit. You only play. That's a fucking impressive, dude, right? He would talk about that time in his life, and he just dedicated himself to his body, his work, and his school. If you're playing a sport while you're in college, something like that, and you got a relationship you're in, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say put college and the sport first, and you won't regret it, because that shit a lot of guys aren't gonna get drafted in the NFL or the NBA. Okay, if that's your dream, then stick with it. I'm all for it. But that time that you have, this is what's highly underrated. Purpose mixed with camaraderie and something you're proud and privileged to do is a sweet spot. And you get that from sports if you're on a good team with a good coach that you love and accept. And so, like, this individual was playing a sport. I said, look, dude, you are not going to regret going away to college and going all in. And let me add to this. You go away to college, you're playing a sport full time, and you're trying to juggle a long distance relationship, no bueno. It's going to be difficult because there's the thing about long distance relationships, there's drama. Oh, why didn't you call me? Oh, I was having a bad day. Oh, did you go to a party last night and not tell me? All this kind of shit. And there's no cherry on the sundae, if you know what I mean, because the intimacy is not there. Okay. And so a lot of times people, especially in young relationships, people in their 20s, they overcome differences. They make up in a really nice way. Right. And so I just had a client of mine say he basically broke up because there was no intimacy for a month. Not shocked, right? You're going to dial yourself into a long distance relationship while you're in college and you're in a position where you're playing a sport. If I were you, I would give free agency a chance and I would go into it. It's going to hurt. Okay. It's going to hurt. It's not going to feel good, but you will get through it. And you got to think about this. I remember when I was younger, My sister, one of her best friends, went away to San Diego State, 8-hour drive away, 1-hour flight away. I ended up living in San Diego, and she had a great family. She was homesick. She almost quit school. Took her 2 or 3 months to get over it. She was over it. She finished college. She did really well. Yada yada yada. It happens. It happens. If you're going away to college, I don't think you want the burden of being in a long distance relationship. Now, here's another example I'll share with you. And I've talked about this before, and I apologize for some of the people that watch regularly. But Dr. Dre has a Netflix series where he talks about all his ups and downs. I forgot what it's called. David, do you know what it is? Or Rob, you're good with this kind of stuff. Anyhow, the thing about Dr. Dre, if you guys know who Dr. Dre is, the guy, every time he made a move, it was like this. Look, this is what's really interesting. It's fucking fascinating because he's got all this success now. He's a fucking legend in hip hop, right? But he literally would take 2 steps back and re-navigate. So like there was different parts of his career where I think he left Death Row Records and he literally like gave up the rights to some of his music. I think he probably lost some money there, and everyone was like, wow, he gave up the rights to. He took that step back because he knew it wasn't going to serve him. So you almost like when you break up, it's almost like you got to take 2 or 3 steps back, feel the pain. But you are in a plethora of women if you're going away to college. And so you really have to give that a chance, because if you're going to play the percentages, long distance relationships with people in 2 separate colleges, one person is going to be left holding the bag. Could be you, could be them. But if you can go into it with an open mind. That being said, it's almost better if you have a clean break, and then you say, you know what, when break comes and we come back home and whatnot, let's leave the door open because you know I love and care about you. And if you are going to stay in contact, this is what I recommend. I recommend that you're able to stay in contact, not in a way that you were when you were full-time living in the same community. Think about that for a minute. You stay in contact as if you don't care about them in the same way. Now, that might sound counterintuitive, but if you're going to sit around and try to be full-time boyfriend, full-time girlfriend, while you guys are 10 hours away from each other, it's going to frustrate the hell out of you. So you literally have to take steps back in the relationship, stay in contact, don't ask questions, don't be jealous, don't make it a serious relationship. Let the relationship breathe a little bit. Not a lot of people can do this. And then you can stay in contact with each other. Overall, most people can't do that. And I would recommend that you go all in and give free agency, being young and in college and single, a chance to embrace it and have the attitude like this. Usually your first serious relationship or the first person you love in the world isn't going to be your last. That's just real talk. Now, getting into the other part of this, I'm in the military. I have a long distance relationship. How do I keep it going? So this one's a little bit more difficult because a lot of times there's uncertainty about when you're going to get R&R or time off, or when you can go somewhere. You might be switched on your mission or where you're going or where you're stationed. Again, does your purpose or mission in life come before your relationship? Now, a lot of people would say, well, no. Here's the crazy part about that. It's attractive to a lot of people if your purpose or mission in life comes before your relationship. As long as your purpose or mission in life is admirable, it's respectable, it's something other people look at and go, wow, that's really cool. If your purpose and mission in life is, to grow organic vegetables in your backyard and, smoke weed all day and be a free spirit, there's probably going to be a lot of people that don't find that very admirable. Some would, but going into the military, being, going on missions, some people are like, wow, this is an important cause. Someone going away to college and playing a college sport at a high level. Okay, yeah, it's understandable. You see where I'm going with that? And so you got to come back to, when you're in a long distance relationship and it's wavering, to, I'm not gonna waver on my commitment to the military. I'm not gonna waver on my commitment to finishing college. I'm not gonna waver on my commitment to playing football or baseball at this school, because this is something I'm proud and privileged to do, and I put a lot of time, heart, and soul into it. And I'll add something else to that. These are the kind of things, okay? School, sports, the military. You put in the work, you put in the effort, and you will reap benefits. Does that make sense? Whereas here's the crazy thing about relationships, especially young ones. You could put in the time and effort, and the other person can be in a different place at a different time in their life and go, you know what, I'm done. You know what, I met someone else. That's the crazy thing about relationship. It takes two. If you want to be a hard worker in college and you want to go all out, you're fully capable of getting straight A's. If you want to be the best football player that you can be, and maybe you're limited by your talent or your speed or your strength, you can, if you put your heart and soul into that, get to the highest available level, right? Having a relationship that you do everything right and the other person goes, yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. That's the crazy part. The recipes for being prepared and ready in school, in sports, or the military are pretty upfront. Be in fucking good shape. Be able to take orders, I suppose, would be one. Be committed, right? Achievement oriented, these kinds of things. Those don't apply to relationships. That's what'll frustrate you a bit. Okay, so let me get into the live stream. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and pop them. Hey, coach, I know it's been a while, but I wasn't share my success from my breakup. I want to share. I'm making more money than I did from the last time we talked. I'm working for UPS now. Dion, that's fucking outstanding. I don't know if my ex is going to come back or not, but right, I'm happy and content and continue to work on myself. Self-improvement is the key. You know what? We did a live coaching, and I could tell you were going in the right direction. You're a fucking hard worker, a very nice person, and you were diving into self-improvement, but extremely positive. And I felt like, remembering your situation, that and people don't ever realize this, your breakup was a blessing in disguise, because the individual you were with wasn't on your level of curiosity and self-improvement, wasn't on your level of wanting to improve your job. And the breakup that you had actually was a good thing for you, because if you would have continued to be with an individual like that, you probably wouldn't be where you're going up in your life and you're growing. I think you'd agree with that. What's up, Rob? How you doing? TMAC, always a pleasure. I hope you're well, buddy. Master classes are good. Which one did you try, Rob? Oh, I just heard about master class, was thinking about joining. It is a little bit expensive. I think you can share it with one other person. I thought I was going to use the hell out of it, and I haven't used it very much at all. And again, I think it's because it's so free. I could do it tomorrow. But it's very well done. I've already signed up for music theory course, just focusing on that. Right on, TMAC. Oh, that's good. Vancouver is semi-open. Still lots of limits on restaurants. Don't forget the thumbs up. Thanks, TMAC. I appreciate you. Working on yourself is the key for sure. Ooh, a surprise. Okay, message retracted. Playing sports in college is a major plus. I think so. I mean, like I said, I played middle school basketball. 8th grade, I was on a AAU. I played fucking school. I played for the King Center, which was like a rec center. I played for all these different leagues. I just loved it to death. And my experience in that year and the years prior, I went to Bill Cartwright basketball camp, which if you've seen the new Jordan series, Bill Cartwright's in it. I mean, I just dedicated, I think, 8 or 9, from about 8 years old to 9 years old to about 12. I just played basketball every day. I loved the sport. I loved that part of my life. And it actually, I played every day after school, and I was on that team. I mean, if you really love a sport and you're able to play in college, that is a privilege. Go all in on that motherfucker, like a religion in the U.S. I remember going to a tiny town in Washington State, and they had a way better outdoor sports facility at the high school than my high school that had 1,500 students in Vancouver. Yikes, no intimacy for a month. I'd go crazy. David, you have no idea how many people are out there have a serious neglect when it comes to intimacy in long-term relationships, specifically relationships where you live together. I'm gonna really, I'm thinking strongly about writing a specific book on that because I'm finding that there's some reoccurring themes with that. Who hasn't heard about Dr. Dre lately? Huge divorce. I didn't know that he was getting divorced. I'm not to say you are, TMAC, but I usually don't get too involved in the like tabloid type stuff. Anyone on deck that wants to ask a question about your breakup or your situation, please do. You're welcome to ask. Any other questions, please, we're open for that. I will get into, I do have some stories, I believe, on deck. So give me a moment here. And funny, we have two Canadians on today. Tomorrow, Mr. TMAC and Rob, the infamous, I will have a Nova Scotiaite 10:30 Indochina time, which is about an hour before this time. We will be going live. It'll be a male-female live stream. So this will be interesting for you guys. If you guys want to see a fellow Canadian, eh? Wow. That's why I never do an LDR. Listen, LDRs can work. They can happen. They come up. It depends on the people, depends on the time in your life. It certainly isn't ideal when you're young and you're going to college. I think it's more ideal if you're in your 40s or your 50s. You're hot, you're in a place that you're locked in with your career. You have a really good connection, but they are not ideal. I met a breakup buddy from Nova Scotia on Love Chat's Discord. We still chat regularly. Okay, well, there's going to be a Nova Scotiaite. Nova Scotia. He rebounded with a new girl a few months after his breakup. Is that a good thing or a bad thing when you say he rebounded? Does everyone regard a rebound as being negative? I think that's a good question. So, let me see this story that just came in. I guess time will tell. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, dude. I mean, so many people get into this thing. Oh, they rebound. Oh, they met. Well, I mean, rebounds can work sometimes. Sometimes someone can meet someone and they've only been out. You know how rebounds work? You know, the secret sauce to a good rebound is an individual that has a lot of things going for them already. You know, people that go out of breakups and they pivot fast, some of them are needy, some of them are overcompensating, some of them are going to regret it later, some of them are settling for something they don't like just because they don't want to be lonely. But some of them actually are at a really good place in their life financially, a really good place in their life spiritually, really good shape, right? And they have a lot going for them. So it's not difficult for them to meet someone new that's at a high level, and they don't have to do a lot of work. You know, breakups are an opportunity to look at the holes in your life, the buckets that are empty, and to work on them. But some people out of a breakup are like, no, I got a kick-ass job. I've been going, I'm great with the gym. I do this, I do that. Those kind of people, don't be surprised, man or woman, 2 or 3 months down the road, they'll end up with someone new because they're a commodity. They have a high market value. They've been together since last fall. My only problem is he's still pretty torn up about the ex and had sex immediately with a new girl, which I don't think is wise. I don't have a problem with it, TMAC. I mean, what do you, I mean, to each their own. Here's the crazy thing about intimacy and sex. People value it differently. You know, hence the reason there's women out there that are like, oh, until I'm married, I won't have sex. Some men like that. That's a different value. It doesn't mean anyone's wrong or right. It's just how people value the shit, right? The oxytocin drug high. Okay. So hey, Mac, let me timestamp this for this individual because I'm going to let them know I got back to them. 34 minutes. Now 35. Hey, Mac. Hey, Mac, I have something a little different to ask you today. I've been in a very on and off relationship with my boyfriend for 16 months. I'll cut to the chase. He's a narcissist. It's taken me a while to realize this, but now I am woke. Okay. My family and friends have helped me to realize he's a liar, cheat, made me feel so crap. He pulled me down, made me believe I couldn't get anyone better. Okay, so all these things are giving this individual a lot of power, and they're lacking one thing, the idea that you could take a little bit of responsibility. Okay. So the idea what happens is, yeah, there's narcissists out there, yeah, there's some shitty people out there, but at some point you got to go, where am I responsible for letting this go on too long? Where am I responsible for this individual to continue to lie to me and stop things? And the idea made me believe, gun to the head, made me believe I couldn't get anyone better. That statement right there, you got to ask yourself where your power is as an individual, and you got to tell yourself, I'm never going to put myself in a position like this again. It's a learning tool. I stopped going out with my friends and was almost isolated completely. Then on the other hand, he was lovely, charming, and caring. My self-esteem and confidence was on the floor. Lockdown made me realize that I can live without him, and my confidence is on the up again. Outstanding. So there was a silver lining in the lockdown for someone. I've started spending more time with friends and family and going out. Outstanding. I have tried to end the relationship with him twice. Okay, so this is the part I have trouble with. I have tried. Okay, so this is the part where you're not taking responsibility. What's holding you back? With him twice in the past 5 weeks, but he's got some hold over me. Okay, so that's a belief you have in your head. That's not true. Okay, this is he either starts crying or threatens to do stupid stuff if I leave him. So you have to ask yourself, where's your power? If he starts crying, say, I'm not trying to hear it. Shut up. What can you do? If he's not listening or he's using these kind of tactics, you need to cut off all contact. That's where your power is at. You've already identified this person as a liar, cheat, made you feel like crap. Okay. Now you're saying, like, I can't break up with him. That's bullshit. You won't. There's something that you're not taking responsibility for here. I know he doesn't mean it, but it's very hard to leave. I'm looking for excuses to end the relationship. How about the fact that he's a liar, cheat, and made you feel like crap? For example, we will argue and I tell him we're over, but he creeps back in. Okay, so you act like when he creeps back in that you're just an innocent character and all this. If you know he's a liar, cheat, made you feel bad, he's a narcissist, and you feel better not being with him, cut off all contact, block his phone, and if he's making some kind of ill threats, contact the police. If he's making ill threats about his own self, then contact his close friends and family members and go, hey, we're breaking up. This is taking the bull by the horns, by the way. These are answers to your problem. The idea, oh, he just keeps coming back, he keeps doing this. Where's your power in the situation? If he threatens to do stupid stuff, report it to one of his good family friends. Or if it's stupid stuff to you where he's going to hurt you, you need to report it to the police. You do need to cut off all contact. The thing is, real narcissists, they're very good at manipulation. How does someone manipulate you? They talk to you. How do you stop talking to someone? You block them on all accesses. We share the same friendship group and lice in the same town, live in the same town, I guess. And I feel that if I leave him, I will never completely be free of him. That's a choice and that's a belief. That's not reality. Last time we broke up, his friends were watching me like a hawk. Is it possible for you to move to a new city, town, or state? Just an idea. I don't want to leave my friends, but I feel like I may need to in order to get away from him, as I feel like he will make life hard for me. If I were you, I don't think that's running away. I would consider it. I don't know what your job situation is. I don't know what your living situation is, but moving to a new environment and a new place because of a wretched boyfriend that's going to have a gray cloud over you in a small town isn't a bad idea. Do I just end it, block him, and get over and done with, or do I do it slowly and let it fizzle out? No, I'd go all in and rip the bandage off. So I would block him. If he's making any threats, go to the police. This idea that his friends are watching you like a hawk, you need to confront the friends directly and go, look, I'm done. I'd appreciate if you stay out of my business. And I would strongly consider, if it's in the cards for you, to move. Now, if you told me like, oh, it's impossible because of my job, it's impossible because I have kids. Okay. If it's possible If it's possible, I'd highly recommend it or suggest it. Okay, so clouds your judgment. Was it more about getting to know the new person? Not a knock, but a lot of people throw narcissists around a lot. Not many people are truly narcissists. I agree 100%, TMAC. You're 100% correct. That being said, if you believe someone's a liar, a cheat, a narcissist, what have you, whether you agree, if someone throws that out to me, I agree. A lot of people throw it around. It's probably not 100% true. But if that's the case, you should be done with that individual. Is it difficult? Hell yeah. What's the best way to go about it? If you're dealing with a real narcissist that's highly manipulative, you're literally in a web. And so whenever you interact with that person, they're going to make you the bad guy and themselves the hero. They're going to make you the bad guy and themselves the victim. This is manipulation 101. Okay. So the only way to cut or stop the bleeding is to go all in on no contact, go all in. Hey, you made a threat to me. I'm going to the police and filing a report. Oh, you're threatening to do something to yourself. Let me contact one of your close family members and just say, hey, look, I'm breaking up with fucking Todd. I just want you to know he just threatened to hurt himself. I'm worried about him, but I can't do this any longer. Does that make sense? Or let them treat you the way they do. Do you take your power back from walking away? Took me a full year before I stopped caring. I don't even like my ex anymore. Crying sounds manipulative and weak. Crying can be manipulative. It can be. I mean, I myself, in my own relationships, if someone cries, they got my attention. I've never felt like I've had a girlfriend that used crying to manipulate me or to used it in a way that it was crying in situations where they were sad or upset. So there are individuals that cry a lot, and if that's the case, that can be used as a tool. Haha, I told Mac how my ex would turn the waterworks on and rip my heart out. Definitely, if someone is hurting you, cut them off. As Coach Mac McCarthy. My ex definitely flipped things around and cast herself as the victim. He had me feeling like I was a monster. You know how many times I've done live coaching sessions with good people, good guys, good women that are explaining themselves about something they don't believe is true. I mean, I think one of the worst cases I've ever seen, and this was a narcissist case, I've talked about it. I mean, the guy was just a cool dude, late 30s, lived in Southern California, surfer, had a good job. I mean, just had a good vibe about him. And this woman he was with was just absolutely hell-bent on proving that he was verbally abusive, he was narcissistic. And I was just like, dude, have any of your friends or family ever accused you of being this way in your late 30s, in your life? He's like, no, but I'm going to go get checked out by a psychiatrist. I'm like, no, this individual is falsely labeling you these things because they want to make you a bad guy and control you. And until we did the live coaching session, he really had no clue how this was going. My ex definitely flipped things around and cast herself as the victim, had me feeling like I was a monster. In some breakups, people never look at the holes in their life and reevaluate. It's probably at the core, man. Honest self-assessment. I can relate, T-Mac. Sucks at the time, Isn't it crazy when you do start to embrace being single? This is the thing, like when you do come out of the other side of the tunnel on a breakup and you stop wishing, hoping, and thinking about your ex and the mouse wheel stops. I mean, you kind of think about your ex here and there. You miss him once in a while, but it's just not as severe, as painful as it once was. And you start to think to yourself, you start to laugh a little bit. But this is why I highly recommend during a breakup to not just read self-improvement books, although those are good for taking responsibility in your life, but really get into attraction and relationships, because when you come out of the other side of the tunnel and you do start dating again, because what motivates you, this is kind of interesting, what motivates a lot of individuals to read the attraction and relationship books is to get the ex back, which is fine. Okay, I'm not interested in fighting some individual on that. I remember that feeling. But then when you start slowly kind of dissipating more and more feelings, the great thing about learning about relationships and attraction and all these kinds of things is it's going to be highly useful when you start dating again. You know what I mean? It's like it's like you are in a situation when you do start putting yourself out there, you're so much stronger, so much wiser, and you'll actually be in dates and you'll actually be making moves and you'll be like, yeah, I know what you're doing right there. Yeah, I know this. And you'll be developing things on a different level and you'll be in position to get someone that's equal or higher value to your past partner. And most of the time, in my experience, whenever you come out of a relationship and then you eventually get into a new one, a lot of times you will find someone that you're like, oh, I'm so glad you don't smoke cigarettes. That's not by accident because you're filtering for the idea. That's one thing that really bothered me about my ex. She used to smoke cigarettes, or it used to really bother me that she was always late when we went to parties. And then you have a new partner and the partner's 10 minutes early for everything. It's like, wow, there's actually women out there that are like this. Someone just told me recently, they said, oh, my ex said I wasn't complimentary enough and that I needed to give her more compliments. I'm like, that might not be you. That might just be her being needy and insecure. Because there's some people out there that just want compliments 10 times a day and it still doesn't help their ego. So, oh my God, when you stop caring about them contacting you, it's like Martin Luther King's speech, free at last. God almighty, I'm free at last. That's where I'm at now, Mac. That's great, David. I'm happy for you. I'm not surprised, David, because, when we did the live coaching and everything, like you have a lot going for you. You're open-minded. In your situation, you were the reasonable one. You were the reasonable one, and she was testing you. And she was putting you in a position where it was basically kneecap theory, gun to the head. Like, I want you to do this or I'll break up. Whenever someone tries to win an argument with breaking up, that's it's not a red flag. It is a red banner. It's a fucking billboard that's red that says get out, because that's cheap. It's cheap. It's beyond petty. And if someone's going to do that one time, they'll do it again and again. And basically, like I said, it's like kneecap theory was what I call it. I'm going to go, like, we're arguing, we're negotiating, we have a problem, and you go straight for my kneecaps. It's like, what? The moment where you say I'm done is like a huge weight off your shoulders. I still can't believe the reason. I agree. I mean, I remember that was a turning point in my own life, is that I remember, like, I just had this moment where I'm like, I'm done. And that's usually, and I am statements are huge. As Coach Greg Adams says, more red flags than Chinese parade. That's pretty funny. My outlook with things, if they don't value me and see what I have to offer, it's not their loss. It's not it's their loss. Whatever gets you through the day. I mean, when you get to a situation where you feel like you're a high value individual, with women or women with men, because this goes both ways. A lot of women, have you ever seen women out there that know they're good looking and got a lot going for themselves? They're not gonna get catcalled over. They're not gonna get a cheesy line thrown their way. They know what they are, right? Men, same thing. And it's a really good feeling when you're in that situation, and you can create that. Indifference for one who dumped you is very liberating. Hell yeah, it is. The worst part, though, is it takes time, right? No, this is the problem. Everyone wants now. Everyone wants a secret sauce, a secret pill. It takes time, unfortunately. Let me see if I got one more story here to share. Well, here's someone sent me, I need help. Okay, can you send your story in? This is the kind of stuff I get sometimes. I need help. Okay. All right, one more story, and then we'll bugger off maybe into something else. Hi, Mac. Let me get a timestamp on this. 49 minutes. Indifference makes the difference. How do you get to a point where you are indifferent, though? Would be a good question, right? Like, how do you get to that point that you're indifferent? All right, let's get into this story. Hi, Mac. This is a long text. Hope you have time to read it. I would prefer if you type things, but that's all good. Binge watching your videos first thing in the morning when I work out and before I go to sleep. Right on, man. since I broke up with my ex-girlfriend during this pandemic and would like to share my situation. My dad just recently passed away due to cancer. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. It was a very traumatic experience for me as I watched him die in the ambulance. Jesus, man. I didn't read this before I put this up. Sorry to hear that, man. That's going to take some time. My ex-girlfriend at that time was also in a terrible situation due to her career not going as planned due to the pandemic, and she's living all alone since we are all in lockdown. When it rains, it pours. Keep in mind, these are two separate situations, so make sure that you're not layering things and you're separating the two to be different, okay? So when my dad died, I called her immediately and told her that story. She was very sympathetic during the phone call, and I was expecting for her to accompany me during the wake as the lockdown during that time was lifted. She said first thing she won't be able to come. I was a bit disappointed and did not talk to her, so she kind of felt it decided to go 2 days after. Okay, so bottom line is, I'm lost here. She was very sympathetic during the phone call. I was expecting her to accompany me during the wake as the lockdown during that time was lifted. Okay, she said first thing that she won't be able to come. Okay, so was her reason valid to you? Okay, what was her reason would count to me for a lot. I was a bit disappointed. Most people would be. Did not talk to her, so she kind of felt it and decided to go 2 days after Dad's death day. I don't know what Dad's death day is. Okay, so she did go to the wake. So when she came, I feel like she's not herself at all, or it feels to me that she was just really not there for me. Okay, so this is really interesting, okay? A lot of times when someone loses a loved one, I've had stories like this before, not necessarily where someone lost someone in cancer in an ambulance, because that's highly traumatic. They tend to feel like their partner isn't there for them enough. And what it is you're feeling so low, you're feeling so sad, and your emotions are so up and down. You want someone to make you feel better that's close to you. The reality is that individual, even though they're a partner and they love and they care about you, they can't make that hurt go away, and they can't feel what you feel. And so the minute you feel like, wow, you're not even that sympathetic, it turns into this negative thing, and you're actually projecting blame for them not understanding what you're going through. And the reality is they can't understand what you're going through because she wasn't in that ambulance and it's not her father. And so if you need some time, because here's the other part of this, you're gonna be highly, highly sensitive to people around you not being sympathetic or going out of their way for you, including your girlfriend. And so I don't think your girlfriend is intentionally trying to hurt you in any way. I don't know why she didn't go to the wake at the first time, but she did come to the wake. So, I mean, at what point is she meeting you halfway on the bridge and it's okay? So on the last day, she promised that she'll visit again, but it didn't push through. But it didn't push through since she was not feeling well. Okay, so if she wasn't feeling well and she's worried about COVID, that could be a legit reason not to come into contact with you. Okay, I'm not backing her up, but I'm just saying. So I don't know where you're at in the world. So I felt disappointed and told her that I would like to focus on myself and my family. And after a week, I reached out to her and she was very cold. Okay, so she's probably very cold to the fact that she doesn't know what she did wrong. So I just let her be there. After 2 weeks, I messaged her. Again, same thing. So I called her. Then she broke up with me during the phone call and said, sorry, I was not there for you. So there's a high possibility that she feels guilty, and she also feels like I did make an effort here or there, but for you to shut her out, this is just me looking at it from her vantage point, objectively, from an aerial view. She attempted to be there for you in her way, and you rejected it. And then you also said, I told her that I would like to focus on myself and my family. So to me, she's going to convey that. She's going to take that in a way that, like, you're going to break up with her. A lot of people, if they feel like you're going to break up with them or you're pushing them away, they'd rather be the one to do it if they're a strong person. And said, and said all the usual breakup reasons, like you're a really good guy, you deserve better, it's not you, it's me. I would like to still be friends with you. I will always be there if you need someone to talk to. Okay, so those kinds of things sound like there might have been something else looming besides just the situation with the wake. So maybe in a live coaching session, you'd like to unpack or share more stuff. We're not on the same wavelength. I'm a type A person. I don't want to care for someone that made me feel like I'm a burden. Okay, so you feel like I'm a burden. Yeah, that's not a relationship you want to be in. So I did no contact and broke it after 2 weeks, went to her place and asked for closure and clarity. Then she said, I was supposed to talk to you when I'm ready. I still want to be friends with you since all my past relationships started with friendship. So if you don't want it, if you don't want friendship, don't do it. So I blew it. But I'm still, how did you blow it? I don't know why. I don't know where you think you blew it. If you feel like you're with someone that makes you feel like you're a burden, if that's true to you. But I'm still confused of the reason why she acted that way. Is it because all of the stress of the pandemic? Could be. But also, like I said, when someone dies, here's what's really interesting. When someone dies that's close to you, a friend or family member, a lot of times I've had two clients this year that lost their dogs of 15 years and 17 years. Like and they immediately broke up with their ex, and they immediately started blaming or being upset with their ex for not understanding the hurt they had of losing their dog. Now you're like, well, a dog's different than your dad. I agree. What I'm saying is you are the one that's highly sensitive and judgmental about the fact that your partner's not there or available in the way you want them to be there for you. Now, here's the crazy thing. People treat death differently. Is it because she's not happy with her life right now? I would need to ask you more questions in regards to that. Ever since the pandemic started, she started to feel anxious without any reason, as I was not able to go to her since we were on lockdown at first. So I'm on my first week after I broke the no contact and clueless on what I should do next. So you don't want to focus on yourself or focus on your family. Now you want to get back in a relationship, because that was the definitive statement that I think really drove her to maybe break up. Sorry for the long text. I admit I'm the good guy type. I always tolerated her bad behavior. Again, in a live coaching session, I need to unpack what is bad behavior and stay quiet instead of arguing with her. So a really good book is No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover, if you feel like you're that kind of guy. So I guess she just lost attraction to me. I guess I wouldn't hang your hat on that. I need to ask you more questions. It was really bad, just bad timing since I lost my dad. I don't have anyone to open to. Well, like I said, I would highly recommend a live coaching session to unpack that. Oh, what's up, Chanchito? Right on, bud. Right on. So you made it. Cool, man. Dark Knight. So that was kind of a long story there, right? 45 minutes. Let me get to this person's. Let me just make sure I put that on. Everyone that's on deck right now, please feel free to ask any questions, direct questions. 58-minute mark. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate it. We got a few more on deck. I will be on tomorrow, 10:30 Indochina time, which is about an hour and a half before right now. I will have a guest on. Maybe we'll do a few shows together. She is a Canadian from Nova Scotia. I'm not sure exactly what topic we'll talk about, but maybe we'll get into what she believes. She's 30 or 31. We'll get into some attraction things from a woman's point of view and kind of unpack some things. I've known her for a long time, and we usually have a lot of interesting talks about things. So I said, let's just do a live stream together. This will be really cool. So if you guys are interested, that'll be an hour and a half. I'll post that on Instagram. I know I had an Instagram post of saying I was going to go live, and I didn't. I apologize for that. I will go live every day for the next week. So you can depend on that. You can count on it. I'm making a effort. So let's see here. Irreverence also makes a difference. What does irreverence mean, Rob? What do you mean by that? LDR doesn't work. They can work, but they have a shelf life. They won't work forever, right? They won't work for 50 years. They won't work for 25 years. And let's be honest, marriages don't work that long either. So what is forever? What I would say about them is they're not ideal, but a lot of people go into them with the right intentions, and you're just setting yourself up for someone meeting someone else, or someone being fed up with the idea that they can't see you regularly. And one person goes, well, I wasn't the one, right? Sorry, I gotta respond. Takes strong and mature people for LDR, and most people aren't. Yes, it takes a lot of trust, and it takes a acceptance of the fact that you're going to see each other less. I did an LDR once, never again. Hi, Coach Mac. What's up, Double D? Maybe she wasn't comfortable attending. I don't know what that's in regard to, Rob. There's likely a backstory here. Oh, you're talking about the story. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, the interest, I've come across this a lot, where someone has someone in their family or their pets that pass away, and they get highly sensitive to their partner not being available enough. And, you know, in my own life, being 39 years old, I've had friends or family members lose people. And it's isn't it kind of difficult? Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, I don't know what to say? You know what I mean? Like, because it's not my uncle, or it's not my father. And so there's no way for me to create the amount of pain that you're feeling. I can be present, I can be available, I can go out of my way, but I think some people get caught up in thinking like my partner or my friend should be doing more for me because of what I'm going through. They really don't know what to do. And some people aren't as good with stuff like that as others. And it could trigger, well, I remember when my grandma died and I just don't like wakes. Okay. Someone might think that's selfish, but there's a reason behind it. So there's all kinds of different reasons there. But the fact that in that story, he said, I told her I want to work on myself and I want to talk to my family. I didn't talk to her for a week. She probably took that as he's really pissed off and he doesn't want to be with me. I was thinking the same, Dark Knight. Yes, I'm almost 100% sure. But she's possibly seeing someone else. Possible. This is one of those things, Dark Knight and David Jeffers, both. I believe Dark Knight, we've done a live coaching. I just need to ask you more questions to get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, it's kind of I think, I assume. Yes, I'm almost 100% sure. Okay. So, Max, someone I know is going to connect me to Argentina so I can find out what's going on down there. As soon as it opens up, I'm going to look into moving down there. That's fucking cool, man. See, that's one of those things you wouldn't have done or been on deck to do if you were in a relationship. And so this is a silver lining. Excelsior, right? As he says in the Silver Linings Playbook. I mean, this is what happened to me living in Thailand. I was in a breakup. I mean, I was licking my wounds for a few months. I did my self-improvement. I fucking went through all these things, and I went, you know what? Had a really tough year with work. I've had this breakup. I've had this, I'm looking at my life and I go, you know what? I'm going to fucking move to Thailand for a year. And you know what? 10 years later, almost 11 years later, I'm still here. So, Chanchito, welcome, my friend. Let me know if you have any specific questions. Jen, how you doing, hon? Saurabah, hello, Mac. If you remember me, I'm the guy who had interfaith issue. I'm in no contact and moving on. I'm working on myself, but out of the blue, my ex is coming in my thoughts. Is it normal? Any tips? Absolutely. I mean, anytime you have an ex, and this is going to sound bad, but anytime you haven't replaced your ex, whether that's a rebound or monkey branch, which is a negative thing, you have a void. And so I was just talking to someone recently about this in a live coaching session earlier this week. A client of mine that I've helped over 2 years ago, and he's come back to me for different situations. And he went back to an ex, and they're basically seeing each other, basically friends with benefits, and now she wants to be together. But he knows it's wrong. He knows it's wrong. And then we got to the bottom of it. I'm like, look, are you dating anyone else? No. I'm like, well, that's why you're settling for going back to, basically someone that isn't good for you, or is not a good relationship. And so, Sourabad Namdi, if you're working on yourself, how long has it been, Sourabad Namdi? How long has it been that you've been in no contact? At what point can you start going out on some bad dates and putting yourself out there and meeting some new people? The other thing is, whenever your ex floods your mind, don't fight it. Don't get angry. Accept the thought and neutralize it. Yeah, we had a really good time. I mean, she's a good girlfriend. You got to be your own coach sometimes. You gotta redirect the narrative and the frame of that thought from, fuck, I always think about her. Oh, she's never coming back. Oh, I'll never meet anyone like that. That's just the story you're telling yourself. The reality is, God, she was a good girl, but it was never going to work due to our differences in faith. There's nothing wrong with that. That's very common. The fact that you have two different religions and your families aren't going to accept each other, relationships are hard enough. I've already been to Colombia twice, so I want something different. We broke up about 4 months. And how long were you together, Sourbaugh? Could be Santiago, perhaps. I just heard Buenos Aires is awesome. I've had one client that was from Buenos Aires and also lived in California before. She was cool. She said it's a beautiful place to live, and that actually, I don't know this to be true or nothing, because like I said, she lived in California before also, but she's from Argentina. She said though, like grocery mart's goods and different things were cheaper. Where's maybe I'm saying Nova Scotia wrong. Nova Scotia, maybe I'm saying it wrong. We are getting better. Good for you, Chanchito. I'm happy for you. But let me know if you have any specific questions. I'll unpack them right now. Coach, you and I have so much to catch up on. Big breakthroughs with me the last couple of days. I'm here for you, Jen. You know that. Send me an email. We'll set something up. Nova Scotians don't have that much of an accent. Newfoundlanders have that crazy, almost Irish accent. Been to Halifax and Cape Breton many times. Oh, where in Nova Scotia? I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. I'm not sure. She'll tell you tomorrow. So you're going to be on deck, Rob? I gave you the time. I'll post it. My Instagram is Coach Mac McCarthy for anyone. I'll post it. We'll have a topic. I'm not going to have any fancy camera work or anything like that. It'll probably just be like this with a microphone, and we'll see how it works. Only been as far east as Winnipeg. One layover in Montreal. Reverence is a double-edged sword. Actually, someone on here right now is from Montreal, TMAC. We got a bunch of Canadians. What's this all about? So expensive to fly inside Canada. I'd rather go abroad. I've actually heard that from other people before, too. My 4-day snowboard trip to Sun Peaks cost me $2,000. Could go to Mexico for a week for less. I'd rather go to Mexico. What's the tax rate in Canada? I have no idea. Joe Rogan's moving to Texas. He was on his show yesterday, and he's like, I just want to go somewhere where it rains. Like, he's going all in now on why he doesn't like California and LA. I was kind of like, wow. I mean, the weather in Southern California is not a reason to leave. It's basically he's leaving because he's making $100 million and he doesn't want half of it to go to taxes. That's fine, but let's not have a shit parade on California. D around 50% if you're making a good living, over 100K, a real shit place if you're aiming. Yeah, Dark Knight. Yeah, Dark Knight. He's talking in regards to Canada. My biggest complaint is you slam up the highest tax rate at 70K. TMAC, have you ever thought of moving to Cyprus? I've heard of some clients that move there that like it quite a bit. Yeah, it's a ripoff to fly west to east. Okay, should be more graduated, not to top until 250. Okay, this is gonna be paying a lot more taxes. God, you could probably go less. I told her if she is not sure what she wants, that please not to contact me. And now she wants to have a conversation with me. Well, I agree with your email. That she has been very honest with you for the situation that you're dealing with, Chanchito. So I do find that to be a positive. I really do. Um, there's so many people in different relationships and long distance relationships. If someone actually comes up front and says, let's say someone in a long, let's just say this for an example. This is not necessarily your situation, Chanchito, but let's just say someone in a long distance relationship that's been on and off, but the individual is still interested in you. They're contacting you. They're sending you pictures. Dot 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 dot. They go on a vacation. They do something, and they hook up with someone else, and they tell you. That tells me that they feel guilty about it. They still have feelings for you, and they are incredibly honest individual. And that might hurt you, but that says that they value telling you the truth a lot. And I think that is a positive. On the flip side, you have to deal with the truth. If your partner slept with someone while you're in a long distance relationship and they told you that, what do you do with it? That's up to you. Is that going to create more anxiety and less trust? Possibly. And so you have to deal with that down the road. I would say, though, if someone is being upfront and honest about that, those things do happen regularly in long distance relationships. And a lot of people don't share them with their partner. So that tells me that they're dedicated to the truth and honesty, and they feel bad about it, and they want to be with you. While that's higher than California, I suspect a lot of Canadians will be permanently unemployed. So those who are working will be shouldering a lot more. Permanently unemployed? Really? Wow. Why would you say permanently unemployed? If you want to make money in Canada is not the place you want to be. If you're content with good enough and being broke when you retire, go to Canada. Well, I'd say things aren't looking so rosy in the US. Okay, God, how do we get into all this political? Right here, but it's still better than Canada if you're an employee. Hey, just saw you on. What's up, Lala? I hope you're well. Tomorrow, I will have a live stream at 10:30 Indochina time, which is about an hour and 45 minutes prior to this. So that's a heads up. I watch a ton of financial channels, lots to follow these days in regard to the US dollars and gold. Good for Joe Rogan. I think it was the YouTube censorship and the high taxes in California. I'd think about Cyprus if I could be certain Turkey doesn't invade. I don't know how you'd get that certainty. Cyprus rocks, Mac. You should visit, bro. I mean, it seems like it would be cool. And you know, what's interesting is I'm completely open about ignorance. You know, some people, when they come to me about something and they've read in psychology or something like this, and when I heard Cyprus, I'm like, where's Cyprus? And it looks like a beautiful place, man. I fully support. Here's what's really interesting about these gripes about Canada and America, and I'm not singling anyone out. I get it. Move. I mean, the world's a big place. Most places have the internet now. I mean, I absolutely love living in Phuket. I love it. The only thing that lacks is having my parents live here, my niece and nephew. That's a bummer sometimes, but it's gorgeous. I'm gonna be doing more videos and posts on Instagram with that. But yeah, if you have a big problem with where you live, I could never move. Look into it. Look into a place like Cyprus. I mean, look into it. There's going to be more and more places too that are going to go, you know what? We want foreigners to come here and work. I don't know if it was on the live stream where I heard from someone else that Barbados is coming out with a special visa for people that work overseas. I have a friend that lives here that's lived in Barbados for years and said it's just gorgeous. Depends where you go in Canada. I say permanently because a large chunk of our workforce is service-based, like pubs and restaurants. I'm pretty sure a lot of them won't survive the shutdown. Are you still shut down for pubs and restaurants? Or are you allowed to eat outside? They still have their very limited indoor seating capacity when the good weather. Oh, because of the weather, huh? Shit. My niece just went down to San Diego and she said it was hopping. And she said that they just moved everything outdoors. Well, in San Diego, you can do that all year. All year. What's the minimum wage where you live? Are you asking me as in Phuket? They still have very limited indoor seating capacity when the good weather is over. The outdoor seating isn't going to help. People from all over want to move to Canada. In fact, I know people from Cyprus that have moved. Oh, absolutely. Canada is a great place. Canada has a beautiful place. It's not overly populated. It's not me taking shots at Canada, Rob. Don't take that the wrong way, dude. I actually have a good friend of mine that's from Singapore that was complaining about Singapore and different things. I said, why don't you move somewhere? Move to New Zealand, move to, and she picked Canada. I mean, you're right. Many people want to go there. Here in Toronto, we are at stage 3, just recently opened restaurants indoors and most outdoors. Cool. A couple of islands in the Caribbean want to join Canada. Turks and Macau. I say let them in. That would rock. Fly down there and use my Canadian money. A couple of they want to join Canada? It's funny because my Canadian friend's going to be on tomorrow too, so this will be interesting for you guys. And I was just on a fishing boat with a mixed bag of buddies and people you don't know that well. And one guy's from Ottawa, and all he does is talk about Canada over and over again and what America. Like, I'm not saying this is all about you guys, and this is going off the fucking topic here. So anyone that wants to ask about breakups, go for it. But this guy was like, he's going on. Well, all you Americans, like your news infiltrates Canadians' thinking. And I'm like, you know what? He's just going on and on and on about Canada this and how America like influences it and does. It's just like, you know what? Let's just go fishing, man. I don't want to hear about this crap. You know who cares about Canada? You know who really cares about Canada? Rob, TMAC. Think about that for a minute. I asked the guy the same question as he's going on for 20 minutes. I'm like, you know who cares about Canada? He goes, Canadians. I go, exactly. There's not another Canadian on the boat. The guy was just going on and on. Like everything had to be compared to like, oh, in Canada, we do this. Oh, in Canada right now, they're doing it. It's just like, okay, we know you're from Canada. Great. Sweet, man. It's like, this is the funny thing about living internationally. You meet people from all over. And the one thing that's funny is people, not all, they're really involved in like what's going on with American politics or the president. Not all. I shouldn't say all. But like, Americans don't follow nearly as much foreign stuff as people follow about America. And people are like, you should be more educated. I'm like, okay, well, never been into politics that often. All right. So the topic today was, I don't want 18 on here. How do you stay in an LDR? My short answer to all this is you can stay in an LDR. There has to be trust. There has to be attraction and connection still. And you have to be in agreement that you're going to see each other a certain amount of times. And there's got to be a finish line that someone's going to move to someone else's city or county. What happens a lot, there was a finish line in the beginning. And then the finish line somehow got moved back. The finish line somehow got moved back again. So the finish line suddenly dissipated to, we'll never live in the same city. Someone's believing like we don't see each other enough. So the idea is, You have to have a plan to be together eventually. I've seen long distance relationships work, but eventually someone moves to the other person's city or place. How long you can do long distance, it's up to you. A year to 2 years is a pretty good run. Usually, if the other people are conflicting on moving back, when you get into about a year or 2 years, it's very hard to deal with the lack of intimacy that's involved for two people. And I remember I had one client. She was really cool, and I believe she lived in Belgium, and her boyfriend lived in New York. They were together like 3 or 4 years, and they met on a gaming site. And it kind of surprised me. This sounds like I'm stereotyping, but I didn't take her for a gamer. What do I know? I'm not a gamer. I don't know anything about that. And they played I don't even know what the game was. Some kind of game where you played in teams and you had friends within the games and all this shit. And she was like in her early 30s, professional, had a really good job. Wasn't wealthy, but was like take care of herself, independent woman. And this guy that she was with, she said his parents were really rich. He was a drug addict, fucking alcoholic, couldn't keep a job, but they stayed connected through the game. And eventually, she visited him like once a year. And it got to a point where I was like, we're talking about, we're unpacking this thing, and she was settling. And it was also, I guess the game kind of played a role in keeping them connected, because they were both like really into this game, this type of game. Someone's probably going, well, what was the game? I don't know what it was. It was an ongoing type of game. And so that can work. And here's the other thing, time zones. You just add another thing that's really hard. If you do time zones, I mean, I've done it once where I was in a breakup, and I was back in the States. My girlfriend lived in Chiang Mai, Thailand. It's just dealing with time zones. It's just fucked up. It's just, you're not only are you talking at different times, but people are in different moods, right? Like if I talk to you in the morning, and I'm a morning person. So I like the morning. I like to have a coffee. I'm in a good mood in the morning generally. I'm not one of those people that like stays in bed once I wake up and rolls around. Once I'm up and I'm crisp and I'm ready to go. At night, I would be more, I wouldn't want to talk to people at night as much. I'm social anyways, but like, if I have to talk to someone, like let's talk at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. Ironically, a lot of people have to talk to me at that time, because my schedule for live coaching is me in the morning and you at night. Now, that being said, a lot of people that are professionals, they like that they could talk to me late at night, I think, because that's when the kids are in bed or when their job's done. So it actually works out for a lot of people for coaching about a breakup. Because the funny thing about talking to people about breakups, there's so many people that talk to me in their car because they don't have privacy at their house. But for me, you talk to your significant other, your partner, in my case, my girlfriend, and it's in the morning. I just had a coffee and she's, it's late at night and she's getting ready for bed. Like that's a mix up too. So if you have trust issues, TMAC, then right now you should get to the bottom of those. You're saying overall, whenever you have a partner. But if you're absolutely correct. You don't want to get into an LDR if that's the case. I would never be happy in an LDR. It wouldn't be for me. We'll never say never. Like I said, if you can do a temporary LDR, or like I've told people before, the LDR in my case that actually worked, this is what happened. I moved away. We continued to talk, but we were never like officially together. We were seeing each other. We probably would have been boyfriend and girlfriend. And then she was like, I can't do this anymore. I accepted it with grace. I didn't call her. I didn't hunt her down. I was okay with it. And then like a year later, she called me out of the blue. We talked. And then once a month, we'd see each other. But we'd see each other like we were seeing each other long distance, but we'd never ask if we were going out, who we were with. It was very casual. I was very indifferent to if she was seeing someone else. And then after a year of that, when I moved back and we were in the same city, we ended up being together. All right, we're at an hour and 25 minutes. Does anyone have any questions regarding their relationship? I would never, ever, ever do an LDR. Never say never, Rob. Never say never. You know, for people that say they would never do it, I don't think anyone ever goes when they start seeing someone like, oh yeah, you know, if this is an LDR, we'll be sure to make it work. A lot of times it has to do with careers and purpose. And what I like to say is, if your career and purpose for doing the move is high and it matches up with your soul and you're proud of what you're doing and you're happy with what you're doing, then you gotta make that move. I know my worth, and the sort of situation isn't worth it for me. It definitely makes relationships more difficult. I suppose that there are some people out there that really enjoy the long distance thing, and it's highly acceptable. There's been a client of mine, I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, where they were long distance for years. She was in school overseas, I think in England, and he was in Asia. I don't want to give it all away because maybe she's listening and she doesn't want this shared. But when she moved back and she saw him more regularly, she basically found out that he had been cheating. He had been cheating with his secretary, and most likely he had been cheating while they were in long distance. And she didn't know that until she moved into the same city. So the reality of it being a great long distance relationship, that served this guy because he had been seeing other women. So what would be better for him? 17 on deck, 10 likes. Thanks, people. I do want to give you some more time, like I said, for open questions. I do have about 20 more minutes. How to deal with clingy women. For me personally, I just don't. So in my experience in my life, if I'm dating a woman that becomes clingy or very needy, it's highly unattractive to me. That being said, some guys like it because it makes them feel like needed or it makes them feel special. So that has to be up to you as an individual. If you don't like it, a clingy individual will attempt to make you feel guilty and be blameful. And so, if, for example, if they're calling you up and they want to hang out and you're like, yeah, I'm meeting my buddies at a pub to watch the ball game. And they're like, well, I thought I could see you today. This to me is like clingy 101 or needy 101. It's just like, yeah, if you can't give me time or deal with the fact that I have a life outside of you, especially usually clingy and needy women are showing you this part about them in the beginning when you first start dating. And some guys overlook it because, like I said, if the intimacy is good, they like the idea that you're available and really want them. I have friends that are in relationships with needy women, and they're usually needy also. Like they both are needy. And so I think that lines up because a needy person with a needy person, they both want to match each other's needs. I mean, they're overly affectionate with each other and whatnot. So Maverick, what I'd ask when you say how to deal with a clingy woman, what is it you want? Like you're in a relationship with a clingy woman currently. And if someone's clingy or needy, a lot of times that's built in. That's not something that you're like, hey, stop calling me so much, or hey, that's who they are. That's something from their childhood or a past relationship. There's a seed there. And unless they want to get rid of it, it's always going to be there. And like I said, some guys like clingy women because it makes them feel special. It makes them feel good. If a woman wasn't clingy with them or a guy wasn't clingy with them, they feel like they're not into them. She told me I was the best man. What an interesting name. J.S. Mitty Jr. She told me I was the best man she'd ever been with, but she said fact I didn't give her space after the breakup pushed her farther away. Can you give me some more details? I don't understand what you're asking. What's your definition of clingy? Okay, so Some men like the clingy type, believe it or not. They do, Rob. I mean, I've had friends like that where I'm like, God, this is fucking annoying. You know, oh, I got to answer the phone. Hold on. I'm with Mac right now. Hold on. Let me take a video. Mac, take a video of you. I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Well, you know how women are. No, not all are like that, dude. There's a lot of people too that will sacrifice being in a certain relationship, clingy, jealousy, needy, in the wake of intimacy, in the wake of being with a beautiful woman, in the wake of um, being with someone with money. And so sometimes it's a give or take. They all say that it's like an international script. I like when she's clinging on to me. I bet all a matter of perspective. It is Dark Knight. I mean, someone was recently talking to me about, they were really complaining that the girlfriend that they were with wasn't being affectionate enough in public. And, he was taking it personal. There's some men that don't like to be affectionate in public. And that has something, again, to do with their childhood, or, when they were a young kid, they didn't kiss or hug a lot their parents. I'm not a very big public affection person. It's not because I don't like my girlfriend or care about it. When we were young, we weren't like that with our loved ones. And so it sometimes people think it's personal. I was telling this guy recently, I'm like, it's not always personal. It's just that it can be personal. I was a dominant alpha athlete guy in the beginning, but I became a weak guy after I felt her pulling away. Basically, for 2 months, I blew her phone up. Well, realize it now, dude. Realize it now, and then work from there. And I would say that if you are, a young guy, I would say to read a few books: The Rational Male, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and Models. That'll give you a nice base. But it happens. What that's called, J.S. Mitty Jr., is you overcompensate. And what happens is people all of a sudden go, wait a minute, this woman worshiped me, and now she's pulling away, and they want to get back to that point. But the reality is they're not seeing the whole picture. And so they overcompensate, right? I feel good after I told her that. I feel I did everything I could to make it work. Now I'm moving on. Germany is waiting for me next January. Sweet, bud. Chanchito, the thing that you did, I mean, not to share your story or whatnot, but I mean, the thing that you did is you stayed calm. You didn't, you sent in your story to me, so you got a second take. I think that helped you a bit, because I didn't think you were doing a whole lot wrong. A lot of times you need reassurance from an outside person like myself that that you didn't do something wrong, or you didn't fuck up, or it wasn't all your fault. And a lot of these breakups that are timing and circumstances, somehow you find some kind of guilt or blame or shoulda, coulda, woulda. And the reality is, nah, you made an okay move. It didn't work out. And you always come back to this, Chanchito. Did I have good intentions with this woman? Yeah. If you didn't have good intentions, then no. Was I truthful with her? Yes, I was. Do I understand where she's coming from? I think you do, right? And so the biggest problem is distance. And so dealing with that distance over time is going to be where your relationship ends. 2 months of begging makes a man look weak. The fact that she's let you stick around for 2 months and beg, I mean, what made you blow up? I had lots of options, lots of hot girls after me, and in regular relationships, I always am pretty much golden, but the distance really made me feel off-centered. Well, I mean, here's the thing, dude. Here's what's really interesting. If you do have lots of women on you, and this could go for women also, you're a high achiever, you're a high value guy, it fucking eats you up that one person don't want you. Think about that. It's like, I've talked about this before. When some of the people that take breakups the hardest are rich, high achieving, successful people, because they're like, you want to break up with me? You don't like me anymore? What the fuck are you getting wrong? And they can't deal with it. So then they overcompensate, and they basically think like, oh, I'll be able to win this over, and they give it too much time and attention. It's actually counterintuitive. In all fairness, if a guy doesn't know the protocols on how to handle a situation like that, typical tendency to reach out more than needed. Yep. Yeah. LOL. It was a complete opposite of what she knew as me. She told me, I don't recognize you anymore. Yeah. It's an overcompensation, right? I want you. I want you now. I want you this. And really, it comes off. You're probably, and this is what a lot of guys do, especially young guys. You're not listening. You're just thinking, I want this. I want you back. I want to sleep with you. I miss you. You're beautiful. I like it when you love me. You're not listening to why she broke up with you or why she doesn't want to talk to you. Listening is actually something that when you get better and better at it, it'll fucking change your life. And that's where a lot of people get caught in a breakup too. One of the number one things I do in a live coaching session is I listen to you. And then I ask you questions, specifically listening to your situation, specifically to your story, so we can unpack where your feelings and your misguided frames of what happened come from. So then you can decide, like, wait a minute, okay, oh, fuck. And usually I'd say 100% of the time, because I offer a full refund if you're not happy, I'll ask at the end, was this useful and helpful? Yes, thank you so much, because you need to unpack all this shit with someone. Women move on easier. I would say women have more immediate options. I've talked about this before. More men will approach a wounded woman who just broke up than women will approach a wounded man that just broke up. Exactly. She told me you can have any girl you want and it bothers you. I don't want to be with. I'm pretty good, right? Women naturally will have, and you turned her off because you let your guard down, not your guard down, but you turned her off by the idea that, you weren't listening to her. What was her reason for breaking up with you, JS? Was there something that you didn't listen to her and you just continued to? It's like when someone goes, I told her I was sorry. I told her I was sorry. It's like, well, she's saying that sorry's not going to work. Are human beings allowed to not accept apologies? Yes. Women naturally will have more options. Absolutely. You guys want to hear something funny? I've known a couple women, I'm not going to go into this in detail, maybe I'll save it for another live stream, that have told me that they actually go on Tinder or these dating sites to just play around, just cat paw guys, just fuck with them. And I'm just wondering how frustrating it is for some guys out there. I'm sure maybe guys do the same thing. Maybe this is why dating apps have such a negative content. Like there are people just playing. Yep, high achievers see the breakup as a failure and guilty. And so, like, once you realize that, you have to realize being a high achiever and a hard worker doesn't necessarily transfer over and just getting back an ex or making up, because that other person has free will, and the high achiever thinks by trying harder, doing more, that it'll bring them back. And the reality is usually that's not the case. That would only be the case if your partner said that's the problem. Listen, people, listen. The worst is women who don't take accountability. Oh, I wouldn't have cheated if you show me more attention. How am I responsible for Isn't it funny though? Like that goes back to listening. Someone will tell me in a story in a live coaching, and I'll be like, all right, this person is just not being responsible for their life. Right. Yeah, that's completely shedding any sort of blame or responsibility. I've heard that happening. Never happened to me, though. Most weaker men will make that excuse as truth. Did you ever hear back from the guy? Okay. You always say that women have more options, hoping that you're right. I could use more options right now. I believe it. Many of them do it for validation. Oh, they'll totally do it for validation. Just for sport, just to fuck with a guy. Just for cat pawing, just to play around. She doesn't communicate, so someday she'd pull back. And I was raised in a family where we talk our issues, and don't go to bed without solving issues. Well, here's a news flash. She wasn't from the same family. And so this is the number one thing that comes up in breakups. The number one thing I've realized with this work is the world isn't seen through your eyes or filters or the way you were raised. And that's when we have problems, because you think to yourself, I would never do that to someone. I would never treat you this way. Well, they would treat you this way. Well, they solve problems like this. Can you adapt and meet halfway on the bridge? If not, you're going to try to drill it down their throat. Oh, you need to be more like this because this is the right way to do things. No, it's just an opinion, JT, JS, Mitty, Jr. But she would just have a bad day and stop all communication. If something was wrong, she wouldn't tell me. If you can't deal with that kind of communication, well, then you have to agree to disagree. Likely reach out and text or something subtle. Guys, going forward, reprogram your brain that the next woman you take an interest in should be a compliment to your life, and definitely with the main focus, your life should rock without her 24/7. That's a good point, Dark Knight. I like the way you put that, dude. That's a good point. I had that happen to me, and I told her I am not taking responsibility for that shit. She belongs to the streets. Like I said, a lot of times when I'm talking to people, I'm telling them, like, look, that wasn't your bad. When someone puts you in a corner or labels you in a relationship because you've done a couple things, if it doesn't taste right or you don't agree with it, don't agree with it. Don't accept it, because if you start to taking on an identity or a thought or a label that is negative, that could be detrimental to your whole life. Some females flirt with guys out of boredom. Absolutely. So you have completely ruled out reaching out to them. Okay. For me, it's a matter of lack of knowledge, but when I get emotionally invested, it's really hard to think. Notice you're saying I. So this is, you're talking about from your standpoint. This is what I do. This is where I came from. This is what my family taught me. And so we always get caught up in how we look at the world as the right way, the only way, the opinion of. And so when you're with someone that does it differently, you kind of go, yeah, this person's not really, they're not this, they're not that, they're not this. No, they look at the world differently. And here's a crazy thing. When you're with someone, and JS, how long were you with this individual? JS, Mitty, Jr., how long were you with your partner, girlfriend, what have you? Sounds like she's simply spending her time with someone else, Mitty. I did reach out. Good for you, Jen. Little Bird, how many times will a guy ask a woman out each time she says no before he gives up? That's up to the individual guy. For me, it'd be one time. I would say it'd be one time. But I mean, what's no? Is it just no? Or is it like, oh, maybe next time? Or is it, yeah, I can't go this week because of this, and it's kind of left undone. But for me, it would be one time. Yeah, it's fine with me. It's clarity. Oh, okay. So you dated for 8 months, dude? We were friends with benefits for a year and dated for 8 months. Okay, so this is why I need to know more to the story. So if you were friends with benefits and you figure like you were doing her some gift by becoming official, she might have liked friends with benefits more than you thought. Secondly, the relationship changed. Thirdly, you're with someone 8 months, you're still learning the motherfucker. You're still learning who they are. You're still learning who they are. It takes like 6 months, 8 months. All of a sudden someone goes, wow, I didn't know you were like this. Yeah, you don't just get to know someone by dating them. It takes time. Yeah, if someone said no and you continue to ask them out, what's funny about that, David? In old movies, you see it all the time. Some guy gets rejected, and like the woman ends up going out with him. I think he's too scared to commit, so he just left and made it my fault. Pretty cowardly. Well, I mean, you can call it coward. Cowardly is a strong word, but you know, yeah, he's scared. He's scared. She came from a similar upbringing, a similar upbringing. We were good until we moved apart. Oh well, there you go. I don't ask more than twice for anything. Third time feels like begging. I don't beg. Movies portray a false ideology about attraction. It does, right? I mean, I never signed up for the movie shit, but yeah, that no, it absolutely does, and I think that it creates a false narrative for women sometimes if they watch enough movies. You know, the one that gets me, I want them to fight for the relationship. Oh, that just makes me cringe sometimes. It would be nice if would you see that in a movie? I've seen that happen before a few times. It's a real thing for some guys. Is there really a lot of scared of? Maybe it's just a false belief construct he has. Well, I mean, Jen, you might feel better about it if you can somehow find a way to understand the fear rather than be a victim of it. Does that make sense? And I'm on your side. So seek to understand, not to be understood. Because I know a little bit about your story, a little bit. This guy wasn't born that way, and it's not his intention to try to hurt you. I think he's got a lot of moving parts, and it's not your job to put the fires out that are going through his mental landscape. But to call him a coward, is that how you want to go about it? It's negative. I didn't think there was anything to be scared of. I was all in. He obviously just can't do it. And you got to accept that. Yeah, and she was the one who convinced me to try and you know where I'm coming from, right, Jen? It's like to throw the word cowardly out there. I don't think it's going to serve you. It's extremely negative in this situation. You cared about this guy. He has a lot of damaged life experiences that he hasn't sewn up, which, you know what? To be fair, we all don't know each other's scars and how they've been. You can go, oh, this happened to someone or that happened to someone. You don't know how it feels and how they're carrying it. And so you made an attempt to be all in and be there. That still might not be enough to get him where he needs to be. And if he's going to get there, he's probably going to have to get there on his own. He's probably going to have to hit bottom a little bit. And yeah, she was the one who convinced me to try an LDR. At this point, my emotions were less invested because I felt she wasn't doing all she could to make an effort to see me, but she promised it to try hard. Well, the LDR creates a situation where someone goes, I want more freedom, and the other person goes, I want you to check in. And so LDR just changes the whole dynamics of the relationship. And some people it works for and some people it doesn't. So that's what's different. I read psychology article that the other side TV shows like The Bachelor have skewed the standards to a higher level on what women who watch show want. Cowardly may be a little harsh, but I'll explain more when we talk again. I'll schedule something this weekend. Sounds good. So what do I do, brother? LOL. I haven't seen her since before the COVID. We broke a January planned a trip, but COVID canceled it. We'll send your full story into rightmac.com and I'll give you my take in a live stream. If you want, if you want it to be private, then that's $65 private video response. But I need more information to give you a tailored response. Some guys are cowards, Jen. They won't break things off themselves, so they make you the bad guys an excuse too. Yeah, JS, if you're really going through it, I highly recommend the paid video response. Or if you want to just do a live coaching right away, I'll help you out, bud. Write out the story of exactly what happened. So, like a lot of time, oh, she's still on my social media. This is all bits and pieces to your story. And so I can't really help you. I need to know, like, from the get-go what went down. Like, even when you're telling me this little, oh, well, it went to an LDR. Oh, well, it went to this. Well, sure. A lot of guys have a fear of commitment. Some women do too. I mean, I've had clients before that they think they're the ones that are right, and every time they go on a date, they're divulging that the guy has to do this, this, and this to even, get a next date. And I'm like, well, you're just sabotaging, good guys. All right, I will try, but well, just send your story. Send your story, and I'll do it in a live stream like this. And I won't mention your name. But if you want to do the live coaching, like Jen said, I have a good track record. I'm very good at what I do. And so if I did something for you, JS MIDI, like the private video response, and you don't like it, I'll give you your money back 100%. So Mac, I finally accepted to date one of those girls I told you I was pushing away back when we spoke. She's 10 years younger than me. Good for you. Then my ex and smoking hot. And guess what? She's chasing all day long. Well, I mean, Dark Knight doesn't seem so dark right now, buddy. Good for you. I'm not surprised. You had a solid relationship with that woman. You understand women. Like you said, you're like, I never had a trouble attracting women. This woman that you're dating right now, Dark Knight, might not be the same. There might be some things missing, but you got to get back out there because that's the kind of person you are, I think. You're not going to stay on the mat too long. We had a really good coaching session. I think we sorted some things out. I don't think you're going to just eliminate some of the pain and worries or upset feelings, but I think that did a lot for you because we went 3 hours actually. But that's great, man. I mean, that's a great story. Like I said, I'm not surprised though. I mean, you got a lot going for you and a good dude. The way I see it is that it doesn't particularly make a man a bad person if he has a fear of commitment, although it's never good to hurt someone else in the process. Yeah, I don't think it's his intention, Jen. That's for sure. I think he's a wounded soul, to be honest. I don't say that often. Anybody know they can move on but are afraid because they didn't want their person to be discouraged? Anybody know they can move on but are afraid because they didn't want their person to be discouraged? I don't know what you mean by that. I hope he realizes that perhaps that gives him something to think about. All right, folks, I will be back on the live stream tomorrow. Like I said, I got a guest, female guest, 30 years, 30, 31. We'll unpack some things. I'll post what the topic will be on Instagram. My Instagram is Coach Mac McCarthy. I post some photos on there sometimes from Thailand. And I'll be back on deck tomorrow. So, Rob, you got a time now, so you don't have to be late, buddy. He's wounded. He's not a bad guy, just damaged, but it still hurts. I understand. Here you go, bud. 10:30 a.m. Indo-China time. Tomorrow. Nova Scotia. I think it is. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. I think you're right. I do think you're right. It'll be interesting. Me and her have a really good rapport. I've known her for years, but we talk about relationship stuff. We talk about the stories I talk about. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I keep saying, "Oh, we need to make it a different setup and this and that." She's like, "Let's just use the mic you have and the camera you have, and let's just do it." Right on. Okay, folks, have a good one. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate you all. Stay strong, stay you, and be good. Curtains.